3D Shop Talk, take one. So, hi everybody, it's so great to see you again. Thanks so much for coming out. And something I realized when I was thinking about all of you yesterday was that in this gathering, we have the Spectrum Gold Award winner from this year, Spectrum 27, which is Doug. We have the Spectrum Gold Award winner from last year, Spectrum 26, which is Patrick. And we have a two-time Beautiful Bizarre Art Prize finalist, Colin. So I'm like, wow, I'm hanging out with some really cool people. So, I haven't seen you guys in a long time. And so I was just wondering, what have you been working on in the last month? What have you been doing?
Who's first?
You go, you're on.
I go? I go. So over the last month, I still work on some commissions for game sculpting.
Is the sculpture behind you a commission? Is that, or is that one of your?
Yeah, that's the last one I did. So
yeah, we really like your new studio. It's pretty awesome. We're thinking we're going to come live with you.
Yeah, I like this.
I like worried about that man lurking in the back, though. He looks pretty sinister.
Is that Sculpey?
Yeah. I did that with Fimo. just doodling some small ball of clay, and done.
Nice.
Just a couple of hours.
Yeah. So you've been doing some of the commission work. Are you allowed to tell us who it's for and what it is?
Yes. Who is for? It's for Simon. So Simon is a company who's doing board games, and that's part of my job. That's my main client, and I do a lot of work for them. And I'm working on their new games. Unfortunately, I can't say more about that because it's top secret.
You're like James Bond, man of mystery or something, right?
Yeah. I'm afraid I don't have the right to show anything about that. But in parallel to commissions, I try to do some personal work, and the one that is currently ongoing is a personal piece about. So this is a girl. I don't know if we can see very well.
We can. It's not super clear, but we definitely got a sense of it. Is there like a concept behind it? I know your personal work, you oftentimes have, well, as the name would imply, you have some really personal concepts that you're working with in those pieces. Is this one of those?
So this one is an idea I have in my mind. It's a depictions of a witch, and that's my vision of a witch. So I don't know if it will be very original or not yet, but that's my vision of a witch. So she will be in the middle of a composition, and a very complex composition with foam. Can I say foam?
Foam. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a lot of animals probably, but so.
So do you see the composition now, or have you sketched it, or are you just creating it as you go?
No, I create as I go. I have everything in mind, at least what I would like to do. But I think it's a bit crazy. So I'm not sure if it will stand up or if it will work. So we'll see as we go.
I'm not sure if this is going to show in the final recording, but when you move your hands, you have these little green auras around it. It makes you look like a magician.
Oh, sorry. I must stop speaking like an Italian then.
Exactly. So, Doug, what have you been creating?
Well, I am not done with my battle turtles yet. So currently, I'm working on a mixed media battle turtle. Um,
I've seen him
and
on
Awesome.
Facebook. Yeah,
so
he's great.
for
So cool.
anyone who doesn't know, the I woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to sculpt a war turtle. And that's really unusual for me. I usually wake up and think, I have no idea what I'm going to sculpt. And I start with no idea of what I'm going to sculpt. But um, uh, I got on Twitch and told people that I was sculpting a war turtle. And that quickly changed to a battle turtle because someone said, oh, war turtle is a Pokemon thing. So,
Oh,
okay. So we changed it to battle turtle. And then during the Twitch stream, somebody said, this is a perfect metaphor for what we're all going through right now. And, all shelled up and fighting a war. And so uh, I said, yeah. I mean, it's so obvious in hindsight, but it had not occurred to me. And so, this is just a case of the subconscious coming up and hitting you on the head. And so for the last month, I've been doing war turtles or battle turtles. Excuse me. Sorry, Pokemon. I've been doing battle turtles, and in fact, Patrick was working on a battle turtle for a little while. I don't know if he's made any
That's
more progress on it, but I was very
no,
honored that Patrick jumped on the
unfortunately, I have not
bandwagon.
made some progress. But
Yeah, look at that.
that's my small battle turtle.
he must
Is
be.
he done?
Must be
It
tiny.
looks like it might be done now.
No, it's not, unfortunately, because I did work quite a lot on my commission, and I did not find the time to continue on it. But I will try to. I will try.
Right. By the way, I'm a big board game geek, so I actually own tons of Patrick's work.
I'm
Which
jealous.
is,
I want his work.
yeah, yeah. Well, you just got to become a board game geek.
Yeah.
2020 goals, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And Colin, what are you doing over there?
Well, I've also been doing battle turtles. They're not as big as Patrick's, but you can see one there. You see this here.
It's
And
great.
I started this about 30 seconds ago, but I
You've made a
think
lot of progress. That looks
it's
awesome.
nearly done.
I think we
But
just discovered the key to your brilliance.
yeah, I'm not sure. I think the smile isn't quite right. But Patrick, what do you think? Is it too big?
No, the size is quite good, but I think you should be careful with the small details on the right legs. I can
I
see
agree.
some trouble there.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I have been enlarging my Wind into the Waves sculpture, which is actually next to me. Not sure how much of that you can see, but she is 4 feet tall, and having a whole lot of fun with that. She's part of the mythologies that I've been writing, and it's been a real treat to do something in this mid-scale. We've done monumental, we've done the smaller ones, which probably, I'm not sure if you can see back there, probably hiding behind there.
You might have to pick her up and bring her so we can see her next to the big one.
Okay.
You could imagine.
This is the maquette.
Yeah.
Is that in the camera? Sort of?
Yeah.
And I'm following the same process where the hands were separate on this one, and I just started roughing the hands in yesterday, and I'll continue that today. This morning I was doing some patinas, a series of patinas on our smaller bronze sculptures, having a great time with that, and it's been a pleasure actually working without the crushed deadlines that we usually have. Where you've got to get a whole lot of stuff done for an event. Behind me, you can see some of these
Speaking of battle turtles, here's a whole army of little critters he's producing.
Oh,
Yes, these are going to be
can
the
you hold them
next.
closer, Colin?
I can. This is a mink
Oh,
skull.
beautiful.
Great.
Yeah,
Patterns on that.
Yeah.
beautiful.
But this is the wax that I'll then dress. I'll chase to make sure there are no seams on it. And this will go to the foundry when the foundry opens, which hopefully will be soon. And this right here, a warthog. So this is a sneak peek of what's coming up.
Make me a warthog.
Great.
Yeah.
Like make a warthog for me, not make me a warthog.
Yeah. And Kristien, am I doing anything else other than those right now? Probably that's most of them.
Well, you're helping me because this flower thing you see behind me is going to the San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts, and the girl you see back there is suspended from the ceiling. And Colin is not only my tech person, but he's also my structural engineer. And so he's going to help me figure out how to suspend this from a 40-foot ceiling, which I don't know how we do that, but the museum seems to have a plan. So I think we're going to be doing that towards the end of May. So you've also been helping with that project. Yeah.
What is the material?
I got signed up for that.
The flowers, there's about 400, and they're Italian crepe paper, which if you've never made stuff with it, it's a really awesome material to sculpt with. It's got, like, if you imagine party streamers and they have those little wrinkles, this is thicker, and so you can actually pull it and it actually sculpts. It's a beautiful material. And so I think, Doug, you do some mixed media things, and you might just get a roll of the Italian crepe paper, because for some of your wispy things, you might find that it's actually quite nice. And there's mostly what I've seen people making with that are flowers, and there's a woman who makes these gigantic flowers for installation in galleries that are quite beautiful. The figure is made out of fired clay, and Colin created a steel armature and spine framework inside that the hanging mechanisms attached to. So yeah, it's an interesting engineering challenge that we're going to be writing about on a blog pretty soon. So so I have another question. So Doug, when I'm not on social media very much, as you may know, but when I am, it seems like when you're making those little ceramic guys, like you're just like majorly productive. Like, are you working 24 hours a day? Like, how do you do that? Something we get asked a lot is, how long do you work on a sculpture? And it's a hard question to answer with clay, because oftentimes we're working on several sculptures while one is in a stage of drying, we're working on the other one. So I don't really have a clear answer, but how do you manage to be so productive?
Well, I think the short answer is I don't give a shit. So just do it. But more like, I guess a less smartass answer is, for one thing, I work in a size that is designed to be easy to work in. Like both of everybody else here, like Patrick is working too small to be practical in general. And you guys are working too large to be practical in general. And I don't mean that like as a insult. Instead, that's like a compliment. Like, you guys are adding extra challenges to your work. Whereas my work, especially like in ceramics, where like weight and armature is a serious issue, right? With ceramics, like you're super limited in what sort of armatures you can use. You can't just casually throw clay around an armature. At least if you can, I don't know how to do it. And the weight of it makes it super scary. As soon as you're big enough that you need muscles, because I don't work out, to manipulate these pieces, and you're talking about weeks of work that you are, say, hollowing out so that it will fire properly, and it's impractical. So I work like this big, so no armature. I can create the rough shapes in literally minutes, and then all that's left is detailing, and I don't care about detail. So before you know it, it's done. So
So are you able to produce, like if you were uninterrupted by anything else, could you produce one of those a day or three or one every 2 days, or hard to
I
say?
mean, it depends on how um, what my goal is. But yeah, I can, I have pieces that I do in 20 minutes. But then again, that is like something that I've done over and over again. At that point, it's not so much art as craft.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what I'm doing. I've done the shapes hundreds of times before, so my hands know what to do. You can almost do it blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but then if I'm working on something that I've never done before, like I play a lot of dress up with the dead. I just throw some costuming on a dead person.
Where do
And
you get your dead people?
what's that?
Where do you get your dead people?
Oh, I sculpt them. So yeah, so you sculpt a dead person and then you give him some clothing, so he's not embarrassed. Because embarrassment in death is a horrible thing. Um, but then, like, I might slow way down if, like, I've never done, say, maybe if, like I said, oh, I want to do like a Queen's Guard with what it was, like the
Oh
bear,
yeah.
never
Yeah.
done one of those. So then I'd have to slow way down and do the research, like what is the shape of this thing? Does it have a lip or not? And then what is you know, what is the lapels like and all that stuff. Um, so, and then just the question is, how refined do I want it to be? And since I love loose work, in general, like when I'm looking at others people's work, I, I, I tend to love their looser work, like to see where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
And when they don't care, when all they're doing is slamming it out, like they're trying to get what's inside their brain onto their medium as quickly as possible so they don't forget. That's the kind of work that I like the best. And there's so many different definitions of art. Certainly one of my definitions of art is, it means that loose work is more art than craft. And when someone's really using all of their skill, all of their technical ability, and all of their knowledge, that's moving more into the realm of craft. And so I'm super excited by the newness, of of things. So and so the more time you give yourself to just spew out the um, rough things, the more chance you have of discovering newness. So that's where
So you're intrigued with the different costumes from different eras. Is there a particular reason that you tend to put those kinds of costumes on dead people rather than live people?
that's because I love dead people. So
What do you love about dead people?
well, I have a fascination with death, certainly. I don't know. The beauty of skulls is part of it, probably. That this beautiful thing that we all have inside us, that's ultimately made for functionality, but ends up being so beautiful.
Hmm.
I don't know
Hmm.
why I like death.
It's just that the dark muse beckons you more, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, flowers are pretty, but skulls, so
Flowers, love, springtime.
yeah,
We're all
skulls
in
are like the human
conversation.
flower.
You were saying that most of the time you start the day without knowing what you will do. It's yeah. So you do you sometimes sketch something, or it's by drawing, or it's always starting with clay and just seeing where you go?
If I will sketch if I know I'm starting some project that is, going to be a big project and will require tricky suspension or something like that. And for me, a big project is not a big project for like Colin and Kristien. It's a tiny project for, like if I'm doing something like 2 feet tall that is going to have multiple figures, or something flying or something, I might sketch it. But especially with the ceramic, I almost never sketch it, and I'll know. Um, well, maybe I won't know anything. Maybe I'll just start by just everything starts by looking like a dildo, pretty much. So I'll make a dildo and see where it goes.
That's
Uh,
great.
and with the mixed media stuff, it's is it a biped? Probably. So I'll just start with two. Like a lot of times I'll even have a constraint. Like I make my base, and the wires will be already embedded in the base, and so that's my only constraint. I have 2 wires embedded in a base, and so it's like kind of like playing tennis. You got a net. You got to get the ball over the net. Well, I know that I have 2 contact points, and they're right here. So what comes out of that? I don't know.
Sounds
So,
like
I'm jealous about that sometimes, because that's the issue with small scale, I will say. It's very difficult to be loose with a very small scales like I do. I need to at least I need to have an armature that is pretty defined, and I can't change a lot the position of arms or things when I start.
yeah.
And
at that scale, every little thing is so important. Like 1 millimeter drop is extremely consequential.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And sometimes I'm jealous about the big size, and that's why I would like to try more big size or change material, just because of that ability to sketch faster. Because it's strange, but doing my small things are quite long. Because everything is very defined, and every steps, even though I don't add a lot of material, it's always it always need to be very precise, and so every step is quite long.
How long does it take you to create a piece?
To do the standard scale in game is 32 millimeters, so about 1.5 inch, something like that, I would say. And this is about 3 to 4 days to get to a final piece with all the details that you put on this thing. But after, it really depends the amount of details and the concept that you have. It can be a month if the last piece, the piece I'm currently doing for the game, I have already worked 100 hours on it, and it's still
you
not
have the lion piece there, Patrick. Can you show that? It's insane.
Oh no! Unfortunately, I don't have. I don't have it. I send them to, and they are out for production. Yeah, but that kind of piece with 2 lions and the girl, that is about 75 millimeters, about that size. And it was something like, 80 hours. No, 80 hours only for girls. But with the Lions, it was something like 140 hours of work. So yeah, a month.
Yeah, it's insanely impressive, that piece.
Thanks.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Seeing the amount of
series. What were you saying?
seeing the amount of detail that you put into the sculptures, that actually doesn't seem like it's taking a lot of time, because you have so much work in there. There's so
Yeah.
much to see and so many nuances. It to me that seems like you're moving right along in the speed.
So, Colin, how long do you typically take on your sculptures?
I think it depends on the sculpture. There are little sketches that can be an hour, and the mid-sized pieces. I can work on them for months. I'm not a quick sculptor when it comes to working in this particular medium. I'm having a lot of fun with this because there is no fixed time frame on it. The foundries are closed, so getting it done any faster is not going to make any difference. But I really love sculpting. So taking my time um, to enjoy the nuances of all of the surfaces is something that's a great pleasure. And so I'm not speeding along thinking there's any reason to do anything but enjoy. So, for example, I was working on these feet, which you probably can't see down there, but
We can see
yeah,
that
it
one.
was maybe 2.5, 3 days. To just play with the structure of it and move them around and make sure everything is the way I wanted it. And there's still, this is just the rough end stage. It will take quite some time to get to the final. I haven't done something on this scale, so the small ones. Kristien, what do you think? You know, sometimes they're 2, 3 or more months. What
Well,
do you think?
I think you're not ever just working exclusively on one thing like that. So
Sure.
it is hard to say. So yeah, easily you might be working on it for 2 or 3 months, but you're doing it in conjunction with other things that are going on. Usually, going to shows and other things too. Um,
And
so
we've also done multiple. We've done large scale work very rapidly. We the monumental work sometimes is a fraction of the time than a piece like this. It sort of depends on deadlines, deadlines and focus.
So, on that topic, something that we get asked a lot is about balance. So, Colin, you, of course, are doing big sculptures and smaller sculptures, and you also are a painter, and you're also writing a mythology. So, how do you balance those things that your creative muse is calling you in several different directions? How do you have balance?
It's a huge challenge, and I can say I'm totally imbalanced on it because it's what sort of pulls you at the moment, and often there are many things that are pulling at the same time, and something's going to fall by the wayside. I'd love it if the days were longer. Invariably, you get to the end of the evening and you think, "Gosh, I wanted a few more hours on that part of this project or this one," and it goes back and forth. So just like this morning, where having a chance to do some of the patinas, and then coming in, I'll be doing some of the hands here. And yet, it's been days since I've been able to sit down and write. So, yeah, lots of imbalance. No solution yet.
So, if you have that imbalance, how do you have any way that you manage to keep your brain sane when your brain is saying, "Yeah, but you need to be writing"? How do you be okay with the fact that some of these things are falling by the wayside, and not like beat yourself up? Is what I mean.
I think that probably I'm pulled into whatever I'm doing at that time, and other things are not in the forefront of my mind. While I'm working on the nuances of toes, I'm not necessarily thinking about the writing, although I do keep a notepad back there that whenever things do pop into my mind, I'm then jotting them down so that I can come back to them later The same way when I'm writing, I'm not thinking about toes necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's wherever the focus is where my attention is.
Yeah, we have a friend who was the director of a gallery and now helps his wife with her artwork. His name is Jay Magidson, and he was doing these very elaborate, excuse me, very elaborate frames for her work, and using power tools. And as most of us sculptors know, when you do power tools, you have to pay attention. And he said that how he manages to deal, because I'm terrified of table saws. I will never use a table saw ever. And that's one of his main tools. And he said that what he does is when he's using that equipment, in his mind, he tells himself, this is all there is. Right now, this moment, this is all. And so he doesn't think about anything else, and his focus is entirely on what he's doing in that moment. And in that case, it's something that's more about saving your fingers. But perhaps that's a good thing to apply for me on actually working, where when you're working, you're just in that moment of what you're doing. You're not worrying about all these other things that probably should be being tended to, So
And I think it also depends on what you're working on, because if you're dressing waxes where there's a lot of things that you're doing over and over again, and it doesn't take 100% attention, then you find your mind is also creating other things, going down other paths. If so, it depends on where the intensity of the focus. Yes, you need to pay a lot of attention when you're doing grinding, but there's room for other creativity while you're doing that. So you can do more than one thing at the same time. Your mind's creating something, your hands are doing something else. I find when on clay, on in-depth things, or even like patinas today, when I'm zeroed in on it, that's all there is. And when the piece is done and I'm mixing chemicals for the next one, then my mind is jumping on to the next projects, the next things I want to do. So it does a bit of the butterfly thing, flitting around, but it sort of depends on what the project is at the time.
So, Patrick and Doug, you both have families. And Patrick, you're balancing commercial work with personal work. And Doug, I don't know if you do any commission work. I presume that you do. So, oh, you don't. Good on you.
No,
Nicely done.
I rarely take commissions. Yeah.
Good. So, how do you find a way to balance your wish to be spending time with your family and, in Patrick's case, the commission work versus the personal work, and maybe Doug, in your case, doing these, fast little sketches with doing something that might be one of your more elaborate panorama kind of pieces. How do you balance that? Anybody?
Okay. I have honest, to be honest, that's my big issue. It's to find the balance. I don't find enough time for my personal work, because I do put most of my attention on commissions, because that's what pay the bill. And I'm a bit frightened to not be able to support my family. And so I go to the easy way, saying, okay, commission is easy not to do, but it's easy because I got the money for what I do.
Yeah.
And because my commissions are becoming more and more complex, it takes more and more time. So it's quite difficult to find the time to work on my personal projects, because after a day working on commissions, I'm very tired, and I don't have the courage, the strength to start to work on a personal piece at night, or because I'm completely, yeah, I'm too tired, I would say. And because my personalities are more complex than my commissions, I need to be in the good mood to work on them. Otherwise, I can't do anything. So yeah, so it's very difficult. I try to now I try to limit my time during the day on my commissions, and keep a couple of hours in the morning or at the end of the day to work a bit on my personal piece. But it's as I say, it's difficult because sometimes I would like to spend a full day on personal work, just to be really focused on it and to make good progress.
Do you ever take a day off? Or
do
you ever take a day off?
Yes, I do, but when I take day off, I try to spend the time with family then. So that's the next layer. It's I yeah, I try to keep time for my kids and my wife. So playing games with them, and because they ask quite a lot, and I need to answer that. Sometimes I I don't answer enough. So I need to make sure I spend time with them, because I'm pretty sure in a couple of years they will not ask anymore. So I need to I need to I need to do that, and especially with the current time, they have been asking me a lot, so I have spent more time with them, playing games, board games, and doing sports with them in our garden, and because okay, I think that's a strange period, but for them it's good, I think, and at the same time for me it's an opportunity to spend a bit more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And Doug, how do you balance? I mean, do you have a issue with balancing family and work?
I'm super sympathetic to where Patrick is right now, because it sounds like where I was for the 12 years that I was at DreamWorks, which is essentially doing commission work, but salaried commission work all day, every day. And during those 12 years, I don't know, maybe I made 10 sculptures. Like I was a sculptor before I went to DreamWorks, but I wasn't a sculptor while I was at DreamWorks in terms of how I could spend my physical activity, because even if I had the energy to do work, I was tapped, in terms of creative, um, uh, what's the right word? Um, uh,
It's like your creative energy, the energy that you
yeah,
have to bring to a project.
You've given it all to the powers that are paying you, as because you want to do a good job. So I feel for Patrick, because I know exactly what that's like. I know that frustration. And then with his kids, my kids my youngest is almost 18. So uh, my oldest isn't even at home anymore. He's hunkered down in Austin right now. So I get to talk to him on the phone. And my youngest is online with his friends much of the day, or he's doing his schoolwork. Um, uh, Patrick is showing a lot of wisdom, thinking, yeah, I should be spending any opportunity I can when my kids are asking me to play a board game with them, because yeah, I don't get to play a lot of board games with my kids anymore. Um, so, but like currently now in terms of juggling, uh, yeah, I'm super fortunate. I mean, I've lived really frugally my whole life, and even at times of high income, living frugally. So that, you know, gives me this cushion to fall back on when sales aren't good, and so it gives me a lot of freedom also when I'm not feeling productive. I just don't have to be productive. And I just went through a period of that, probably about 2 months, where I was just really struggling to do anything. And I don't know how much it had to do with COVID. And I think a lot of it had to do with um, I really felt like I'm supposed to be working on this giant tableau piece, or giant for me. It's like 6 feet long or maybe longer, and about 6 feet tall, with a bunch of figures in it. And I've been working on it for over a year. And uh, you know, I had this idea in my head that that's what I was supposed to be working on. And when I didn't want to work on it, I just was completely unproductive. Um, so so I've given that up. I mean, it's sitting in the side patio under cover, and just waiting for me to be ready to work on it again. And in the meantime, I'm able to uh, to work again, because really for me the I think the key to being productive is just doing whatever I want to do. And that's why I avoid commissions, because I know as soon as I take on a commission, I'm going to feel all these weights that for me personally decrease my productivity, and
Mhm.
decrease everything that is that makes me tick. Um, so even though financially it makes it a lot rougher, I I I emotionally and productive wise, I try to avoid that stuff. So,
So, you know, in the studio, when we're working, we oftentimes are. Oh, what's that? I think it's time for shop talk. Quick questions. That's it. Okay, so you all know how to play rock paper scissors, right?
yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So we're going to do rock paper scissors, and whoever wins gets to pick who has to go first. You ready? Make sure we
Yeah.
can see your hand in the camera so that we're not cheating. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. So Colin and Doug, you got to go again. Ready? 1,
Yep.
2, 3. Okay, Doug, Colin, you win. So you get to pick who has to go first.
Oh,
You can go
totally.
first if you want.
I'm gonna go with Patrick. Patrick, you're number one.
Okay, so Patrick, pick one of these colors. And Doug and Colin, if you want to encourage a color, let us know.
Okay, the green.
This one?
Hmm?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Shop talk, quick questions. Here we go. What is an artwork you have visited over and over again?
Not really any, because I'm not close to artwork. So I've seen some, but not had the chance to go back and re-see it many times.
What would you go back to see again? Sorry, I'm cheating. I'm adding a
But
question.
I would go there for sure.
We would too.
We'll take you there again.
Yeah. What does your perfect day look like?
My perfect day. Wake up late. um, having a nice breakfast, and spending some time sculpting on a personal thing, and probably ending by watching a very good movie.
Nice. What's the most unusual material you've ever made a sculpture out of?
Blue tack. You know I don't know the name. The things that you stick things to. Just
Thumbtack?
it's just a putty that is very sticky that you
Like
to
for-
plug something on the
On the wall.
for
on
hanging
the wall.
It's
wall
like
or
a
something
tack
like that.
putty.
Yeah, tack putty. Yeah.
Okay. What's one of your favorite sculptures of all time?
I think the Rape of Persephone.
The one behind you.
Yeah.
When you get off track in your work, what brings you back on track? How do you get back on track?
Drinking a beer and listening to Pink Floyd.
Nice. What's something you wish someone had told you when you first started sculpting?
It's hard, but you will manage to if you spend time. I will say like that.
Doberman or poodle?
Sorry?
Doberman or poodle?
I don't get that one. Oh, it's dog. Oh, it's a Doberman. So
Doberman's our dog, and poodle is like a French poodle.
No, the big dogs. Sorry.
What's a memory you'll carry with you to the end of your days?
The memory I will. The day I became father for the first time.
If you could pick any artist, living or dead, to apprentice with, who would it be?
Bernini.
Bernini?
Yeah.
Okay, me too.
Me
When do you
three.
laugh the most?
Sorry.
When do you laugh the most?
I think when I'm with my kids.
How do you know when a sculpture is done?
I never know.
Cupcakes?
Yeah.
Cupcakes or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Crepes. What do you feel passionately about?
Sculpting.
Bravo! Okay, so Patrick, since you went first, you get to pick who goes second. You're in the seat of
okay.
power.
Doug.
Doug, pick a color.
Purple.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
No.
Quick questions. What inspires you?
Oh. Life.
I was going to say that. Good choice.
What's your favorite material to sculpt with?
Water-based clay.
What makes you smile the most?
Life.
Who is one of your favorite artists?
Alan Williams.
Me too. What's a piece of advice you have for sculptors?
Live simply so you have time to do your artwork.
Pizza pie or apple pie?
Oh, pizza pie.
What's something you love about who you are, and what's something you wish you could change?
Oh.
Sorry, Colin said that was a hard one.
That's not fair. I wish I could change being asked questions like that. And
Okay,
something I love is being willing not to answer questions properly.
Is there a book that made a lasting impact on how you think?
Oh, I think my time's up.
Okay. How do you know if you're in love?
Oh, I think you feel love.
Do you do any forms of art other than sculpture?
Occasionally, I will draw and paint, but it looks really bad.
Do you daydream?
Oh yeah,
In the world of sculpture, what do you think was the best invention?
stick.
What do you hope people will experience when they look at when they look at your sculpture?
I hope they daydream.
Colin?
Blue?
It's cheating. It's cheating. I see. He has seen all the question. I know he know.
I sent all the questions to all of you. You may not have read them, but I sent them to you. Ready?
Do my best.
What's your favorite sculpting tool?
These.
What are you currently reading?
Oh boy. I just finished a Stephen King novel, and one I do all the audiobooks and I forget their names. I can't remember the name.
It's something like If It Bleeds, right?
Oh, that was the Stephen King, but there was another one I was reading at the same time or listening to. And I was listening to the Witcher series, so I was listening to 3 at the same time, but they all finished yesterday. So yeah.
If you could have dinner with any sculptor, living or dead, who would it be?
Definitely Bernini. And besides, at that point, I'd be hanging out with Patrick as because he would be the apprentice.
That's right. Who inspires you?
You do.
Thank you.
Oh,
That's sweet. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self something you've learned that will help you on your path, what would it be?
Have faith in your personal voice and your vision.
Do you believe in magic?
Absolutely. Dreams and magic. Bring it on.
What can you see from your studio?
You can probably see it. I see a little slice of Eden. We have a little, and pheasants. You can hear pheasants doing their song in the background, and you can hear the pigeons singing away. So yeah, there's a little bit of trees and beautiful things. It's a little bit of paradise.
Have you ever cried when looking at a work of art?
Yes.
Which one?
And it was Bernini. We all cry when we see Bernini.
I cried too. Do you have any hidden talents?
I'm still looking for them.
What do you listen to while you're working? I think we did that already.
Audiobooks.
Mhm.
Constantly. Love them.
Are you a good liar?
Yes. And, I mean, oh, wait a minute.
We're going to have to talk about that.
I think I'm a lousy tell the truther. I can never tell the truth and keep a straight face. But lying's pretty simple.
What's something you had to learn the hard way?
Don't filter boiling casting wax.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
It
sounds.
seems like a lot of things are the challenging way.
What is your biggest dream with your work?
I hope it sings to people long after I'm gone.
Okay. Bravo to all of you. I have one bonus question. Was there any question you hoped that I would ask you that I didn't?
I have a question for Patrick. Do we
Okay.
have time for me to ask something sort of maybe involved to Patrick?
Sure.
Go with it.
I've been super fortunate because Patrick has actually been keeping me company for the last few days while I'm sculpting, because he sent me some videos of his old Twitch sessions. So one of the things, I'm wondering, like, your process when you're working on like the 32 millimeter or 35 millimeter, whatever it is, little guys, is like, you obviously have all these methods and techniques that are very practiced and confident, and like the way you have this little acrylic thing that you roll out your sheets with, and the little tiny little clay on the back of your thumbnail, and ways of like divvying off certain amounts of things, and I mean, it all looks like something that's been done for ages, the way you do it. And so my question is, did you develop these in a vacuum, or did you learn, did you apprentice for your miniature sculpting under somebody, or how did you become the technical wizard you are at that scale?
I nearly learn every techniques by myself, because I'm not coming from sculptures. So I did engineering when I was younger, and I worked in the mechanical engineering for 10 years before moving to the sculpture side. I was sculpting before with the same material, the Fimo. But only for myself. And over the year, I have found some small things or some small tricks. The thing that I've learned when I moved to it professionally, looking at forums on the net, I learned about the green stuff. So that's really the things that changed a bit the way I was sculpting, because I was struggling putting the Fimo on my wire, and it was always moving, and
Right.
So I developed a kind of very delicate way to work due to that. But with green stuff, it's so much easy that it sticks. So then after, it doesn't move anymore. So that's one thing that really changed, and I did learn that on forum.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest is just the practicing, and by practicing, I moved from some tools that I was loving. I was loving the clay shaper tool, and I was doing all my sculpt with that. And one day I tried something else, and I found this one better. And until I came to the one you can see in the videos, is just a very small wood tool.
Dowel.
But with that, I developed my way to work. So, and I think it's just practicing, that made me come to that point. Technical.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And anatomically, I did follow a workshop, a training by Scott Eaton on online. and I learned the muscles with him, and it was just okay trying to draw the muscle on sculptures that you know, or on a guy in a certain pose, and you try to draw the muscles, and it really changed my way to work after that, because I moved from looking at things and trying to reproduce, but just looking at pictures and trying to reproduce without understanding what I was doing, to something more technical, where I know why I put this muscle and why I put this volume. Okay, I hope it answers the question.
Yeah, well, it's super fun to watch you work, and it's doubly impressive that those little methods that you use are self-created. You should teach other mini sculptors, because your minis are, amazing. So
Thanks.
So, first of all, thank you all so much for talking shop with us. Just in case somebody doesn't want to read the article and they're just going to watch the video, can you just really quick tell us where somebody could see more of your work online, whether it's your website or Facebook or Twitch, or just kind of give us all of your accounts? Maybe, Doug, you go first.
Dugosaurus.com, DUGOSAURUS.com.
Patrick?
And for myself, I think the easiest is Instagram. So it's Patrick Masson _ sculptor.
So PATRICKMASSON, sculptor.
Yeah.
Great. And Colin?
ColinPoole.com, ColinPoole.com.
Great. Well, thanks so much for the shop talk, and
That's fun.
everybody who's tuning in. Till we see you next time, keep creating.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great to see you all.